Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast of the Stavrou Method, an holistic approach to health and wellness. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing my good friend and internet marketer, Willy Crawford. Here's some info on Willy for those of you that don't know him. Willy Crawford grew up very poor on a tobacco farm in North Carolina. So many members of his community lived below the poverty line that it was only in college that Willy realized how poor he actually was. He did exceptionally well in school, so when he was ready to graduate, his high school guidance counselor naturally steered him towards college. The only problem was that his family had not planned for nor anticipated him going to college, so there was no money. He was the first person in his immediate family to attend college. Willy attended North Carolina State University, where he managed to pay his tuition via a small government grant and holding down as many as 3 part-time jobs at a time. For example, as a senior, he was a cadet colonel in ROTC, a leadership position that paid a small stipend, a resident advisor in his dormitory, a paraprofessional counselor, and a catering coordinator for University Food Services, where he often oversaw banquets for the governor of North Carolina and countless other VIPs. Upon graduating college after 5 arduous years, where he switched majors, from biology pre-med to business management and economics. He was commissioned as second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. Willy served 20 years plus 10 months, playing a role in 7 different wars or conflicts other than war. 6 years before retiring from the military, Willy started an internet-based business back in 1996. Upon retiring, Willy elected to make his internet business his full-time profession. He sold a variety of goods and services, and today, over 20 years later, he focuses on teaching others how to start their own businesses, and he assists others in launching their own internet-based products and services in the capacity of a joint venture broker. Willy's many years on the farm, plus his high school and college training in biology, chemistry, and botany, developed in him a deep appreciation for the connection between man and nature. Willy eventually became appalled at all the poisons that man is constantly exposed to via conventional medicine, environmental pollution, and even the harsh household chemicals and toiletries that we use every day. This led Willy to eventually study using plant-based substances to create the countless common ailments that just seem like a normal part of modern living. Willy discovered that most diseases affecting man and his pets, livestock, can be treated with plant-derived essential oils. His research showed him that many harmful insecticides, pesticides, household cleaners, toiletries, chemical-laden cosmetics, and medicines can easily be replaced by using the much safer essential oils instead. Willy's research convinced him that he wanted to make as many people aware of the benefits of using essential oils as practical. He does that today via frequent posts on social media, interviews such as this one, ebooks and articles that he writes, and a Facebook page on the topic. Willy has spent several hundred hours formally studying the nature and chemistry of essential oils and is a certified essential oil coach, a credential that he earned through a training program fully accredited by the American Association of Druggist Practitioners. Being an entrepreneur, Willy also sells essential oils to friends, family, and clients who frequently come to him seeking advice on overcoming a challenge. As an independent wellness advocate, Willy recommends the products of a leading essential oils company, and he also creates his own custom blends for his clients based upon his training and the constant ongoing research that he undertakes. Today's topic is on financial health, and Willy is an expert on it. He grew up in a life of poverty and now does very well earning income online as an internet marketer, amongst other things. Willy, there's lots to cover, so let's get right into things. So Willy, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join me for today's chat. It looks like we're going to be getting into, say, a very important topic as far as like an holistic approach to health and wellness, and that's pretty well the focus on money. So it's not to say it's the be all and end all, but it certainly can help people out with a number of challenges in their current life. So I'll just pass this on to you, and you can take it from there.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much. And yes, I have done quite a few things in my 60 years, or almost 60 years. And one of the things that many people listening to this will wonder is, why the focus on money? You know, again, like you said, it's not everything, but much of modern life revolves around money. I mean, prior to the invention of money, if you wanted something someone else had, then you traded your pig for their chicken or whatever. You had to work out trade. Money is a a medium of exchange that has an established value, and so everything that we do in modern life revolves around money. Um, and looking at it from a holistic health perspective, the lack of money is one of the biggest stressors in modern life. I mean, it causes divorces, it causes all kinds of health problems because people are just constantly worried about how am I going to pay the bills, how am I going to pay for the children to go to college, how am I going to put gas in the car or food on the table. So it is a very real concern, and getting a grip on it, makes life easier, lets you live a healthier, happier life. It also lets you uh, do things that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Like I know that you have certain charitable causes that you care about, and so
Right.
you can't support. Well, you can support those with your time and your energy, but the one thing that a lot of those organizations and causes need is money. Because again, the world operates on money. They can't, rent facilities or run promotions on TV or radio or whatever without money. So again, having enough money to contribute to whatever causes you care about, it just enables you to do things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. It's just a tool. It is
Mhm.
just a tool, but it's an important tool. So I think it's important that we do, consider it a part of a balanced life, an important part of balanced life.
Most definitely. And there's a lot of financial experts out there that spend a considerable amount of time talking about reducing expenditures. And I certainly understand that. But it gets to a certain point, there's only so much fat that one can trim for their everyday lives. So I like, the fact that you want to say, well, okay, well, keeping an eye on your expenses is one approach, but also what can a person do? And say they're working full time, but there's also a lot of things they can do on a part-time basis to earn additional income. So if we can get into that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and it's like you can cut corners here and there and clip coupons and do all those things. Cut out your expensive cup of coffee at a fancy coffee shop or whatever. But those things the penny pinching only saves you pennies. And I sincerely believe that it's better to focus on, okay, instead of worrying so much about how am I going to save a penny or two here, what can I do to add more money to my
Hmm.
income easily so that I don't have to focus so much on that. I mean, there are things like you can spend all day worrying about the cost of food or gas or electricity. You have no control over most of those things. So why
Hmm.
worry about those things? Instead, say, okay, I can't change the price of gas, but you could drive miles out of your way to find cheaper gas, but you're spending all your time and gas to get to a cheaper gas source. So
Hmm.
why waste time worried about those things? Instead, again, look at what can I do to increase my income? And that's where I sort of hope to take today's discussion. And I'll sort of let you, take the lead if you want.
Well, definitely. Well, a lot of our audience are online marketers. So what would you say are the biggest mistakes that you see online marketers make?
Yeah, the single biggest mistake is once an online marketer achieves some degree of success, a lot of them act like that's going to continue forever. So they don't really plan for the future or the likely impact of inevitable technological changes. So they run out and buy fancy cars or rent them, and they get big houses with nice pools and all those things, and they just blow their money instead of putting some aside for the future. And so
Hmm.
when market condition changes and people no longer know what they're offering, they have nothing to fall back on. I mean, they can still adjust to changing economic and market conditions and still figure out a way to offer what the market wants if they're watching it close enough. but a lot of them, they just disappear because it's like they have to go back to a regular job, which
Yes.
we joke about saying that's just over broke.
Mm-hmm.
Online marketers. So it's considering the fact the mistake they make is not considering the fact that things are inevitably going to change, and they need to be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like what you're saying there about people having certain expenditures, and I've certainly been guilty of things over the years. Well, I was just more into the material possessions. I've cut back a lot over the years just because it has been a learning experience. And if I could revisit some of my choices from the past, I would have spent less of my time and money on the resources and focus more on building assets that will give me that recurring income. There's a story that I read about the author of the Rich Dad Poor Dad books, Robert Kiyosaki, and he gave an example of a friend of his whose son was turning 16. At that age, many of us want to purchase our first vehicle and be somewhat independent where we don't have to rely on others to drive us around. So the father realized that the son saved up a fair amount of money to actually purchase the vehicle. And the father said, well, instead of spending the money on this, let's figure out a way that you can invest resources into something that's actually going to have some kind of dividends from it. And then basically you have the goose that's going to be laying that proverbial golden egg. So the goose is always there. As long as you take care of it, you're going to keep getting the eggs from that. And it's a great lesson for somebody, especially at such a young age.
Absolutely. And in fact, the smarter, wealthy people, they don't spend their capital. They live off of the interest kicked off from the capital. So they don't they have that core nest egg that they never touch. Instead, they live off the interest. They live off of the whatever the investment is kicking off, and that's you have to of course build up to having that nest egg. It's a lot of work for some people. I mean, especially if you start out like I did. I was for government subsistence most of my youth, and so nobody in my space, most people didn't even consider the possibility of putting money aside and living off the interest. But that's really the way to do it, and that way you have something that you can pass along from generation to generation, and the nest egg kicks off money that future generations can live off of. So,
and that's why I love following your work. And this is something we've spoken about before. And it's nothing against individuals that come from a wealthy family and take it to the next level. An example I like to use is, say somebody comes from a family who has a net worth of 10 million and they work on things so their net worth is 11 million. So that's $1 million increase. It's great, but they had a fantastic foundation to begin with. Whereas if somebody like yourself that came from just very poor beginnings and being successful as you are, I find that resonates a lot more with our audience. And just say, well, if Willie can do it, just model yourself after him, and it's certainly doable.
It is, and I mentor and teach a lot of people, and I sort of try to steer some of them into trying to somehow build up a nest egg of, before they retire, say 10 million. And if they can then invest at just 10% interest, which isn't hard to do, then it's going to kick off $1 million a year pre-tax. And so if you can't get by on that, you have problems. I mean, and I mean, that lets you live a fairly lavish lifestyle, contribute to charitable causes, that are near and dear to you. Like for me, it's things like cancer research and homelessness, combating homelessness, things along that line. So, it's not about me so much anymore, having money to spend on a lot of luxurious things. I do plan on traveling a lot when I retire. It's more about, okay, so how can I make a real difference in the world and improve other people's lives? And
exactly,
that takes money,
It does. And there's a saying out there, and I'm not too sure if I remember it correctly, but it's just, you can't help at the poor if you're one of them.
Yeah,
so it's like you need a certain amount for yourself, and some people think it's selfish if you focus on your own well-being. But think of it this way: it's like if somebody is flying in the plane and the plane goes down, what do they recommend that the parents do? Put the oxygen mask on themselves first so
Right.
that they're okay, and then go back and forth between themselves and the child. If you just go to the
Absolutely.
child right off the bat, the parent could pass out, and then but both perish.
Yeah, they could pass out before putting the mask on the child, and so neither one of them has a mask on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that analogy quite a bit. And one of my mentors, to paraphrase the expression you were using, he says the best way to help the poor is not to become one of them, because then again, to feed the hungry or house the homeless, that takes funding, and
It
so
does.
yeah.
Yeah. It's nice, like, just having that nest egg in place, which is one less thing to worry about when expenses do come up.
Right, right.
And I love everything that you've done in the whole online marketing industry where you've got recurring income from several different sources. So you just go to sleep, you wake up the next morning, it's like, oh, there's another product that or service that somebody purchased that they could benefit from, and you're compensated for it accordingly.
Absolutely. That's it's a beautiful thing. And I like marketing products that offer recurring income where you sell something once and it's something that people are going to use over and over again, perhaps for years. Things like web hosting and autoresponder services, things along those lines, membership sites, because people join those, and if they over deliver in value and
Which you definitely do.
And people will stay with some of those things for years. I've used the same autoresponder service about 10 years now. So whoever sold that to me has been collecting commissions off me for 10 years,
Yeah. And it goes back to a previous issue of one of your newsletter where you speak about relationship building, which is a huge thing. And what I certainly love about everything that you do is, if it's not a good fit for your people, you do not recommend it, and you're constantly getting approached from, say, different companies out there saying, well, Willie, you can make a fortune off this, but if you don't believe in that it's a good item, product or service for your people, you just won't say anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was approached by a network marketing company, and I believe in the model itself. It's fine like company because most fail within the first 2 years, like 90% of them fail. But I had someone approach me that ran a travel company, and they said, why don't you do a mailing to your list? We know you've got doctors and lawyers and high income earners who we will help them to get off the ground, and they can build an organization, and you'll earn commissions off of them and the organization for years to come. And I said, well, what about the people who aren't doctors and lawyers that the doctors and lawyers are bringing in, who won't have the money to plow into it to let you do all the work for them? I think, what are they going to do? And it was not just about me earning money or a couple of my subscribers, high income earners earning money. It was about, okay, what about the people below them? I'm taking care of not just them, but their customers. And so I declined that, even though it was probably an easy $20,000-$30,000 a month. It's like, no, because it's just playing with other people's dreams. And I have this saying that no man has the right to play with another man's dreams. And I sincerely believe that, so I don't do that. Why not? Anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why we get along as well as we do, because we're both very transparent in what we do. We don't force people to buy a particular product or service, and you've been instrumental in helping get my package off the ground, which is very much appreciated.
Right.
And if you didn't believe in it, you just wouldn't be part of the whole project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's get back on track with some of the topics that you want to cover. So I'm going to look at my notes over here. What are 3 of the best investments that you know of?
Okay. The very best investment I know of is investing in tax lien certificates or tax deeds. And let me explain both those a little in depth. It won't take that long. But every municipality in the United States, and I'm sure Canada and a lot of other countries, they depend upon tax revenue to an extent to pay for things like, police and fire protection, highway maintenance, a lot of schools, a lot of things like that. So what they do is they tax property owners, and property owners pay those taxes. Those taxes are used to pay for those services, for public service. If the property owner, for some reason, falls behind in their taxes, in every county in America and across Canada too, the taxpayer is allowed to pay the taxes, but they're fined for late taxes. And in the United States, every county, every state and every county has different rules, but they issue two different types of paper.
Okay.
One's called a tax lien certificate. The tax lien certificate basically allows an investor to step in, pay the back taxes, and so they pay whatever's owed in back taxes. And for doing that, they get a tax lien certificate. And whenever the delinquent taxpayer comes in and pays their overdue taxes, they have to pay the penalty. The investor gets back his money plus the penalty. And that ranges from 10% in some counties in America to up to 36%. So
wow, that's huge.
Yeah, I could buy a tax lien certificate today. Taxpayer could come in next week and pay his back taxes plus the fine, and I get 36% of my money in a week. That's possible.
Wow.
But it differs in every state, and you can find this information on the internet. People want more about that. They can contact me later on, and I can point them to resources.
Yes.
The other instrument in the same category is what's called a tax deed. There's certain counties and certain states in America where if you don't pay your taxes within a certain time frame, instead of putting a lien on your property, they take your property. So investors step in and they have options where the investor buys a deed to the property. So somebody could be, $1,000 in back taxes, can't pay it. They have a $100,000 house. The investor steps in, bids on that deed.
Yes.
And for maybe $2,000 or $3,000, they beat out all the other bidders, and they've got a $100,000 house.
I've heard horror stories like that. That's just crazy.
And what's really crazy is the mortgage on the property is wiped out. So you get a $2,000 house, a $100,000 house for $2,000 with no mortgage. It's free and clear. So that's the single most amazing investment I know, and it's to me it's the most secure investment too, because it's backed by the government. It's like they need the tax money to fund things, and so they collect money from the property owner, and if they don't collect the money, they're the ones that give you ownership of the property. So you don't have to do anything other than just invest a few dollars, and you can roll it over and over and over again. I like that one.
And the thing I don't understand about that, like, because say I'm the property owner and maybe I'm just falling behind on my mortgage and taxes for whatever reason.
Right.
And then that means somebody can purchase the lien to the place and actually own my property. So what's to stop me from getting, say, a friend to purchase the lien on my behalf and I just buy back the house from them?
You can, but yeah, you could do that. And most states most municipalities don't really take your property. There's some that are harsher than others. There's properties all over the United States, including Beverly Hills, California, Hollywood, places like that. There's probably hundreds of thousands of properties across the U.S. It's less lucrative in Canada because the fines, the interest, the penalties are lower. But anyone in the world can invest in this property. And there's nothing, again, to stop you from getting a friend buy that lien, but that your friend will be competing against other investors. The ones in the know would also know about it. And the biggest buyers of these tax liens certificates are banks. So the banks are paying depositors, 2% interest or less on a certificate of deposit, and they're taking that money, going out and earning 10 to 36% interest on their money, and then they're just paying them immediately 2%. So your bankers and your investment advisors who can't earn a commission off of you buying tax lien certificates or tax deeds, they won't tell you about these things. There's only certain people who know about them, so it's not common knowledge. That's why you don't have people taking advantage of that so much.
That's right.
One of the things I like telling people about is, like, I learned about it in college actually, but I didn't pay much attention to my business law professor, who jokingly said he bought some widow's house for like $200. pretending that he enjoyed it, but she really didn't want the house anymore anyway. She didn't care about the property. She wanted to move in with relatives and didn't want to worry about some property in some other state that, so just abandoned it. And so the county stepped in and said, we need the money, the tax revenue. We've still got to provide police protection to keep somebody from breaking into the house or burning it down or whatever.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's all a balancing act. The thing there is, some people would say, well, I'm taking someone else's property. Well, you're not taking their property. The government is taking their property, and you're just stepping in, and somebody else is going to invest in it anyway. So it's you shouldn't feel guilty about doing something like that. You're not harming anyone. You're just investing wisely in an investment that most people don't know about.
Very interesting. And let's take a look at your next tip here. So I believe you're speaking about outsourcing. So leveraging
Absolutely.
other people's time and skills.
Yeah, all of us have the same number of hours, minutes, days in a month, week, or lifetime. And so most entrepreneurs like me, we try to do everything ourselves. We figure, well, I can't really afford to hire someone else to do this at this time. Well, that's backwards thinking. If you can hire someone to do programming or graphics or web design or proofreading or whatever, transcription services, and you can pay them, $10 an hour, let's say, and you can earn, for your time, say $50 an hour if you do it right. Then it's foolish not to hire someone else to do that for you. So you're leveraging. You cannot buy more time in your life, but you can tap into someone else's skills and time and
exactly.
Give you more free time,
Most definitely.
And get more things done. The other shoot from that is because I know, and you and I both know how to go to services like Fiverr.com or a lot of other sites like that and get things done that a lot of other people don't know. I do what my friend Maria Videlis calls talent arbitrage. So you say you're dealing with a local offline business that needs a logo design.
Yes.
So I could probably get that logo design for $10 some places, or certainly under $100. But these businesses used to paying $500 for a logo design, or to get a website set up on WordPress. They're used to paying some of them over $1,000 to get that done. Get a website set up for probably $50. It's just just installing a WordPress theme on an account, and then picking the right thing, making a few changes, but I can certainly get that done for about $100. And so you charge them whatever you want to charge them for it, but you don't do the service yourself. You outsource it to someone who, especially if you go to like a third world country, who might be working for less than $100 a month.
That's right.
And so, and they're very talented. Some countries they're highly educated. They speak fluent English. For example, I wouldn't outsource writing jobs to most of those countries because they speak a different English than I do, and English is not the primary language. But certainly web design and even customer service and things like that. Why spend all that time doing those when you can find somebody who'll do it for $2 an hour or whatever? So
exactly, and I can definitely relate to that. I've had some incredible success with some people on Fiverr, and I've got one gentleman that's been doing a lot of my graphics and website work for several years now, and very happy with it, and very reasonably priced. Yeah,
and it's again, you could spend weeks, months getting very good at doing graphics yourself. But why, when there's others who do that full time and they're extremely better at it than you are, than you'll ever be? And so why not let them do it, and you focus on things that will bring you a higher return on your time.
Exactly. Yeah.
The third thing that investment I like is real estate. It does have to be in the right location, and the rule for real estate is location, location, location. You can have a 5,000 square foot house in one neighborhood that goes for $200,000, and in another neighborhood it goes for like $5 million.
Wow.
It's location. It's all about market. So you have to know what you're doing there. But there's certainly not making any more land. except in places like Japan where they're dumping garbage into the ocean off of the edge of the land and building
I was not
land.
aware of that. Huh.
Yeah, they're treating the waste, of course, but you dump stuff that's not biodegradable, and it basically see, Japan's on the rim of fire, so it's the top of mountains that sprung up across the Pacific Ocean. So all these islands are really the top of mountains or ancient volcanoes, and you're just building on the side of the volcano. And so you can build land, make land, but for the most part, uh, land is a limited resource, and so
Mm-hmm.
especially the stuff that's not, uh, in inhospitable places. So investing in real estate is a very good investment, but you have to really study the market. But
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to lose at unless you jump into a market that seems really hot, but it's reaching it's overpriced, and it's going to correct itself soon. And that's happened in a lot of places too. So somebody buys a house with say $300,000, and all of a sudden the market adjusts, it's worth $200,000. Now they owe more maybe in mortgage payments than the house is worth. So you think they're upside down. We say,
Mm-hmm.
they can't sell for what they owe on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some great advice that you're offering. Here's a question for you, and hopefully you can enlighten us. So, what would you say would be the fastest and easiest way for a desperate person to make money?
Yeah, that's a question that I've been asked over and over again in my career as an internet marketer. Lots of people who say, how can I make quick money? A proven way. And I even teach a course that I call Rapid Product Creation, which I recorded and have it available in audio and some other bonuses and stuff that I'll even give our listeners if they want it. But what I teach is to create an information product that you offer for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And the simplest way to do that is to jump on a call like you and I are doing now, but you have to map it out and you record the call, either audio or audio and video. And if you want to do just audio, that's certainly the cheapest way to do it. But if you do video, that has a higher perceived value. So you can have an audio and a video. If you record over Zoom or some webinar platform, you have both. You can hand it over to a transcriptionist and you have a PDF. Now you have a package. So no matter how the person likes to consume their information, whether it's listening while they're out jogging or driving or whatever, or they're watching on video because that's the way they learn best, or maybe some people like me actually learn best by reading because I like to mark up a highlighter and make notes and decide outline. So I take a PDF transcript and I print it out and I make notes in the margins. All those things are doable for using free resources except for the transcription. And the transcription, if you don't have any money to get it done, and you need graphics and you can offer it online for sale, you can explain to the transcriptionist or the graphic artist that you don't have money right up front, but you'll get it to them within a week or so. And most, we'll work with you on that. In fact, the transcriptions I use, they send me the transcript. I have to approve it anyway before they bill me. So I don't have to ask.
Yeah, it buys you time there. Yeah, and it's nice to have a conversation ahead of time.
Yeah, so you basically can sell enough copies to be in the profit and cover all expenses, very quickly. So I like that, so like I use Camtasia for recording a lot of even screen capture videos, things like that. You can get a free 30-day trial, so you don't even have to pay for that. For audio, I use Audacity for editing and recording audio sometimes, or you can use Skype. Both of those are free. So the only thing that you really have to invest in upfront is the transcription. And again, there you don't really have to pay for it in advance. The other thing is I've created probably a dozen products where I listen to online discussion, often on discussion boards prior to getting on Facebook and getting very active there. And I would notice a problem, and I'd say, why don't I create a solution to the problem? So I would flow out an interview. Okay, I want to be asked these 10 questions so I can point out step-by-step solution to this problem. And I would reach out to a friend who had a good voice and understood maybe marketing. And I'd say, I want you to interview me. And
Hmm.
here's the interview. I'd give them the questions. I'd give them a hint at what my answers were going to be. And I'd say,
Very
can we do
nice.
that sometime? And I have at times announced that I was rolling out a product on that topic the same day, and I would offer. I used to be a member, a very active member of a discussion forum called the Internet Marketing Warriors. Uh,
Hmm.
I post there. I give free review copies of a product that I'm rolling out in the next day or so. Who wants one? And I explain what the product was. And as soon as I got my audio or my video or my, usually I wouldn't have the transcript that quick. As soon as I got the audio and the video, I'd fire it over to people who volunteered to review my product. And I may have
Very
10
nice.
people who volunteered. So they'd give me feedback. Okay, that feedback, if it was good, that was a part. That was a testimonial on my sales page. I just said, "Can I use this testimonial?" They said, "Sure."
Hmm.
If it was bad, they pointed out what they saw as weaknesses in the product. So they were
Hmm.
telling me how to improve the product. So I knew how things in there to plus it up. And often within a day of me doing the interview, I had the product up for sale. I mean, I had a rough sales page, just a headline and a
Yeah.
bunch of text, some bullet points, and a buy button. And
Hmm.
I was selling the product in a
Yeah.
day.
You don't need anything too elaborate by any means either.
No, no. So that's how I rolled out numerous products and how within a day anyone could quite literally be making money. I mean, you have to pick the right topic. You have to pick something that people are interested in, and you have to let people who are willing to pay for it, who can afford to pay for it, know about it. But certainly within a day, you could actually, if you're in a desperate situation, you can be making money. And that's how I would do it.
Very nice. And then, like, do you have some recommendations on how to market the product if you had no listing, you're a complete newbie?
Yeah. Uh, First thing is, it had to be unique because and we're and I had database, I could rebuild. I could reach out
Hmm.
to my customers. Either be if you know, physical, I could do it that way. Certainly email. So all my websites could crash and everything could go away, and I could rebuild if I had the list, the database of people who knew, liked, and trusted me, or at least knew me,
Hmm.
and gave me permission to contact with them. So you need to start building that list immediately. But as you do, then you ask, okay, so what do I have that I can fall back on? Well,
Hmm.
uh, like 1.89 billion people right now, I understand, on Facebook. That's that's
That's
one out of
huge.
every seven people on the face of the planet. So, so the people listening are probably on Facebook. So
Hmm.
you can just post on your Facebook wall and create Facebook pages or groups where you talk about the problem and the fact that you have a solution. And from that, you're going to make sales. You know, you don't want to be too in your face, but there's nothing wrong with telling your friends, or your followers, I have a solution to this problem, and
Hmm.
I will
And you're
talk
helping
to
them
you.
out.
Yeah, you're helping them out. So, and the other thing is, you know, in the Bible, which but it's all about everything that the importance of asking, the power
Hmm.
of asking. In the Bible it says something like, "Seek and you shall find; knocking the door shall be open unto you; ask and you shall receive," or something on that line. So it's the power of asking. People don't really like to say no to you; they don't want to be taken advantage of. But if you
Hmm. Yes,
ask for help, you'll get. It.
definitely.
And
Well,
what
and
you
you're
need
a
to do
big
at the
believer
same,
in the win-win relationships too.
yeah, you need to figure out a way to reciprocate. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, it's like if I were asking you to promote my product, on the back end, promote you somehow within the product. Maybe
Hmm.
in my download page, recommend they go check out your product or offer some bonus maybe that you offered. Gave you permission to give away, but that by giving that bonus away, it introduces my buyers to you and your
Hmm.
world. So there's lots of ways of doing that, and so the reciprocity is easy. And actually, I helped a student of mine to launch a product, probably 3 years ago. He reached out to me and said, "Can I interview you for this product I'm working on?" And I said, "Sure." Okay. at that point, when I did the interview, okay, now I take part ownership in the success of that product.
No, definitely, yes.
So he comes back to me and says, well, there's no obligation, but would you be interested in promoting it as an affiliate for a commission? You know, at that point, I have an interest
Exactly.
in the product succeed. So just by putting me in the product, leveraging my assets, my reputation, he's also made me want to leverage my assets by putting them in front of my audience. You know,
Exactly.
it's win-win, and the product was really good, so it was win-win-win. And I learned a lot from that experience. You know, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's always people out there that are willing to help if you approach them the right manner. You know, and you know, with the things that we're working on, you know, we're looking at just a long-term win-win for everybody that comes on board with our efforts, not just a short and quick approach to making a fast buck.
Right. Another technique, if you will, that I like, method, is to seek interviews, and in the process, you leverage other people's audiences. You know, so and you build your name and your reputation. So you reach out to, say, a blogger or a podcaster, and you say, you know, I'm an expert on this topic, and I know your audience is interested in this topic. So I propose that you interview me, and you say I have a Q&A sheet, which means that you're suggesting the questions that they ask you, so they don't have to do a lot of research on your topic, and you tell them you have a bio, so they don't have to research you and what you're all about. Instead, when they introduce you, they can just basically, you know, mention a few things in the bio, and then they run down a list of questions, and in the process, they come across as, you know, as an interviewer, you know, not sounding totally ignorant about the topic, but they're presenting the audience with some useful content. But what they're doing at the same time is putting you in front of the audience. They're saying, here's someone that's worth listening to. Here's someone
exactly.
I think you should pay attention to. And so you're leveraging the interviewer's audience and his reputation and all those things, his credibility. And so that will build you up, but that will make you sales too directly. In fact, one of my favorite techniques is to say to the interviewer, you know, can I offer your listeners a gift? And of course, if it's live, they're going to say, of course. And although you don't really want to spring that on them, but then you give them an email address or whatever, and say if they go here, they can claim this free gift or whatever.
Exactly.
On the gift download page, you offer them something else that's for sale. But even if they don't buy it, which means you would make that immediate sale, you've got them in your database now.
Yeah, they're part of your funnel.
Yeah, and so, you know, all of those are ways where if you don't have a list, you can tap into other people's products. But again, you do it in other people's resources, assets, but you do it in a way where you reciprocate. You know, it benefits you, it benefits them, and it benefits their audiences.
Exactly. Yeah, and I find that you're extremely particular about who you do associate with, and I followed suit as well. Just some people, I'm sorry, it's like regardless of the amount of money that they're offering, if it's not a good fit or if it compromises my integrity, I just don't want to be part of it whatsoever.
Absolutely. My friend, my good friend Marlon Sanders, and if you ask him to do a product or project with you, his first concern is, how am I protecting my people?
Exactly, and that's a question we should be asking ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, he'll voice that, you know, verbally with you. He said that to me before, you know, I proposed a project. He's like, well, it's a database. You know, how am I protecting my people? And I like that about him. Why we get along so great. But yeah, that might be my answer as far as how to get a product out there if you have no list, which again, you need to start building immediately because it's a very, very valuable asset.
Okay. You know, and another question for you, you know, if it's so easy, then how come we don't have more people doing this?
Yeah, the biggest reason is fear. People think, you know, I can't do it. I don't know enough about it. They get involved. They get the paralysis by analysis.
I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to acknowledge that what you're going to do might not work, and it's okay to fail as long as you fail forward. As long as you don't keep making the same mistake over and over again. As long as you learn from that failure, it's not a failure. It's a lesson.
Exactly.
So
yeah, either you've won or you've learned something along the way. You haven't really lost anything in the most cases. Like, there are some exceptions out there. It's just a matter of taking calculated risk.
Yeah, it's calculated risk. It's not foolish risk. It's calculated risk.
Yeah.
The other thing is people sometimes they have a lack of knowledge, and the solution there is you don't have to be the expert.
No.
You can be like the reporter. So instead of, if you wanted to create a product on a certain topic that you didn't know anything about, you could reach out to experts in that field and say, I want to interview you or whatever. And you'd ask, well, why would they let me do that? Well, because you're presenting them to your audience, or you're putting them out there, you're publicizing them, you're bringing them business, you're building their name recognition, their reputation. So most people will say yes if you ask them, in the right way, and all of a sudden you're associated with that expert. So
exactly, yeah, if you're leveraging their credibility.
Yeah, so a lot of people will view you as the same as them, even though you're not as knowledgeable as they are. So that's very powerful. The other thing is perfectionism. A lot of us, we attach too much our identity with the product we're creating or rolling out. So we spend so much time trying to make it perfect, we never release it, or we try to make it too big, want to cover every possibility. When most people, if they have a problem, they want a simple solution to it, not
exactly
like 200 lessons and a year's worth of stuff. They want something they can just go through. I mean, I put out ebooks or reports that were like 20 pages, and as long as I got to the point, I left the fluff out. And
smart
people
approach,
will happily pay for that, and yet you can put that out really, really quickly. So don't try to make it perfect. You can always go back and release a version 2.
Exactly, and update and get feedback from people. Yeah, makes sense.
So it's just a matter of doing it. It is easy, but you have to step through your fear, and we all have fear. We all worry about people judging us based on our products and our services and all those things. That's natural. You just step through that. You have to go beyond what you're not going to make it in the business world,
Yeah, fantastic tips that you've been giving. Well, Willie, I see that our time is just about up here. So I would like to let people know how they can contact you. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I make myself actually very reachable. I find that most people don't abuse that. So I'm available by email, text, social media, Skype. My email address is willie.crawford@gmail.com. That's willie.crawford@gmail.com. Easy to remember. I like Gmail because Gmail filters for spam and it's very effective for that. So,
very nice.
I do check my spam folder before I delete my spam. So, as long as your email subject line is clear about what you're about, it's not going to get deleted. I freely give out my cell phone number. I do a lot of recorded calls, and so when I'm doing a recorded call, I typically will turn off all my phones, my cell phone, my office phone, all those, so I don't have the noise in the background, and so, or the possibilities. So it's preferable that people text me first and set up a time to talk. My number, though, is 850-621-2116. That's 850-621-2116. And if I don't pick up, just leave a message for me. If I don't call, text me first. And whenever I turn my phone back on, I'm going to see the message. I do check my messages. I don't sleep with my cell phone like a lot of people do. So,
that's good to know. Yeah, we do need that separation, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you don't need to be tethered. I don't think you need to be tethered all the time to the internet. Instantly reachable, drop whatever you're doing just to respond. So I don't do that, Some people will say, well, what if it was an emergency? It's like, well, I'd find out later.
Exactly, yeah. Or if it's an emergency, just call me a second time if you're able to do so.
I mentioned social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Google+. I have a YouTube channel. And on all those, I use my real name, Willie Crawford, and I use a similar image. So, like on
people
Facebook,
can find you.
Yeah, there could be 100 people named Willie Crawford. And you're like, well, how do I know which one's the real one or the right one? So I use the same image. But on Facebook, I'm Willie Crawford and the number 1.
I see.
So, Facebook.com/Willie Crawford 1. And I guess somebody else already had Willie Crawford first, so I just put a 1 after it.
Good thinking, yeah, because Crawford is a rather common name, compared to some other names. So, yeah.
And, And one of my pet peeves is people who actually don't put a picture on Facebook or even a logo. And so you see their name and you just see this placeholder. So you go, well, how do I know this is the right one? You know?
Well, exactly. And thinking, why not just show who you are? Or sometimes people have a picture of themselves from 30 years ago. And
Yeah,
just,
I know
okay, I'm
people
not
do.
saying update it every year, but it should be at least somewhat reasonable and should be somewhat recognizable.
Yeah, yeah. I getting off on a tangent there. My friend Dan Kennedy mentions going to the airport to pick up a speaker that was on speaking at seminars, and he walked right past the person because they were using it like a 15-year-old picture of their website.
Exactly.
Didn't recognize what right
That's
past
priceless.
the fourth way to contact me is just to reach out to me on Skype. Skype lets you do chat, it lets you do audio and video as well as just chat. And my Skype ID is Willie DC. That's WILLIEDC. And while I don't have Skype open all the time. When it pops up, if somebody's trying to connect with me, it'll tell me, and I'll accept.
Very nice.
So, and then Skype's a very useful tool. It actually lets you make free calls. You can go Skype to Skype. To go Skype to a phone, there's an extra fee for that. But make calls to anyone anywhere in the world over Skype as long as they have a Skype account or have a phone and you know their phone number. So it's it's putting a lot of phone companies out of business probably. But I use Skype quite a bit for that reason. So those are ways to get in touch with me. And again, I'm very approachable. I am a fanatic about controlling my time, and so I don't feel the need to respond to a text message, the second that it comes in.
No.
Most of the time, but I do respond to any messages sent to me through any of the channels I mentioned.
Very nice. Well, I certainly appreciate all the time you've taken. Lots of fantastic tips that you shared as far as just creating wealth and just simple means of attaining it. And I certainly look forward to a future interview with you.
I look forward to future interview too, George. Thank you.
Willie, thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedule to share all the great things you do. I look forward to our next interview. That wraps up another episode of the Stavrou Method, an holistic approach to optimal health and wellness. Stay tuned for our next episode.